proud of you. You came in under. You hit the under on James Dwiggins F-bombs by more than one.
I have a 3.5-year-old, and
the parrot phase has fully begun.
She said it in front of mom in the car, and I got the stare of death from my wife.
No, you didn't get it. You earned it.
Those two things God. And I had to explain to her, I was saying truck. And so I was doing that parenting thing that we all do.
You mean lying to your kids?
Yeah. You talk about it privately. We talk about it publicly. This is the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast. Welcome again to the Real Estate Insiders Unfiltered Podcast, where two idiots are introduced.
Two useful idiots. Useful idiots.
Talk about our recap, Mr. Robinson, from last year and our projections this year. And you guys should watch the intro because we'll just leave it at that.
We hit record before I knew we hit record, so that's fun.
I mean, whatever. What could go wrong? So
a lot.
So give them the quick insight.
Yeah, look, the prediction shows are one of my favorites. It's where we get stuff really wrong. We looked back at our predictions from last year and graded ourselves. There were some Fs and some As. You can help us determine what our GPA is. And then we thought about the future, what 2025 will be like. And we tried to share with you what we thought new tech advancements would be, new threats to the industry, the winners, and maybe people who are going to have a harder time. Fun conversation. You got to think about what's going to happen to prepare yourself and your business. And we told you our thoughts, and fight with us online if you want to. But I think
put in the comments.
Yeah.
Tell us where we're wrong. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So put in yours, kids.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm ready. Oh, we just started recording.
Hey, Keith, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
It's great to have you.
Coming in hot with falsetto, which I'm super good at.
You have a voice for radio. I do not. That's part of the reason you're here is because everybody wants to hear your voice.
Yeah. But what's funny is people hear me talk and think I can sing. And obviously, as we just experienced, I cannot.
But you can dance.
Oh, that's true.
You can dance. I've seen you do it. Mm-hmm. So I've seen you do it. So Keith is just coming off of the Christmas vacation where he dressed up as Santa. So you can see he's got the beard still.
I do. Yeah. I might ride this thing for a little while. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe tell us in the comments. Beard, no beard, thumbs up, thumbs down.
That's a good one. Yeah. Like if I try to do it, I look like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. So I just
so you definitely should grow one. Come on.
No, it's embarrassing.
We should set like when we get to some follower count, you have to grow a beard.
No way.
Yeah, you have to grow a beard and I have to shave my goatee. Come on.
I agreed to was that's not going to be it because I would just feel like awkward. But I would agree to the Napoleon Dynamite dance routine at some point and I'll record it for everybody.
But we've known each other for what, 15, 16, 18 years? A long time. Yeah. And you've never seen me without a goatee.
That's true. That's
true. I'll shave my everything.
I don't know if I want to.
Right. That's the point.
Okay. All right. Everybody click subscribe. And and get a number up there, and we hit a certain number, we'll do something weird.
We'll embarrass ourselves and be stupid.
By the way, this is actually supposed to be a useful podcast, so we're
really riding with that last open.
we're gonna run with it. Right. Cool. So let's talk about year in review. We wanted to get our things that we said early last year. Mm-hmm. How close we were. I've been reading everybody else's, and I feel like we might have actually been closer than most out there.
We had some whiffs and we had some hits, but if we were in the big leagues, we'd probably be in the Hall of Fame. Okay. I mean, yeah.
So we'll do that, and then we'll do our predictions for 2025.
Let's go.
Let you guys all pontificate on the nonsense we think will happen. So Keith, start us out. Economic-wise, you had some numbers.
Back.
Yeah, looking back, go.
Yeah, looking backwards, it's funny to go look back at your predictions a year later and be like, wow, this would be the one that I missed for sure. I was pretty sure we would have at least a little baby recession and thought that was looming. I wasn't alone in that thought process, but I was absolutely 100% wrong.
Well, we've been in a recession in real estate, but you're talking about the rest of the world.
Yeah. When it pertains to interest rates, recession actually helps interest rates, oddly enough. And so last year, and you will hear in a moment that it is similar to this year. If you could tell me what's going to happen with interest rates, I can tell you what's going to happen with residential real estate. And I made some assumptions about that and was super duper wrong. I said we would have a recession and it would be, hopefully a mild one, soft little landing, but with a mild recession. and that would put some downward pressure on interest rates. And while we did have rates sort of start high and end high in the middle, we did have some downward pressure on rates throughout the year. But short answer, I would give myself a grade of an F on this one. No recession. Rates at the end of the year were basically at where they were in the beginning of the year.
By the way, everybody got that wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know a single person. I have not met a single person that got that.
I've decided I'm no longer going to quote rates. I'm just going to give ranges and directional arrows, because if you put a number out there, you're probably going to be wrong.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about recession. We were off there. You were off on that. I don't even know if I gave any numbers. I usually defer to you on the economic stuff, but forecasting of units, we actually both did give some numbers here, and we weren't way
off.
B plus.
What did we close at?
2024 will be right around 4 million units, just slightly over. So
the low end of my range was, I was between 4 and 5, and I think I settled it around 4.14, 4.24, something like that. So not way off. So I'd give us a B plus on that.
Yeah.
You were between 4 and 5, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think I was also hinting under 4.5 because I just didn't think we would get there. So we obviously we're still off. Obviously, it didn't come back in any way we thought. So big tech. We talked about tech impact. What did you predict?
Yeah, we both actually said AI it would be impactful in residential real estate, and I think we were right. It just you didn't see it. Right. So there's a lot of AI that's working in the background. There's a lot of AI that people have currently in development. So we may have been a little early with this one, but I think if the point that we were trying to make is AI is here to stay and it's not the next hype cycle, I think we got that one right. AI is here to stay. It is not just the next hype cycle. And while it may not have ubiquitously spread throughout residential real estate, and we all have our AI assistant in our pocket already, we are starting to build tools for our company with and about AI, and pretty much everyone that we talk to is exploring AI and how they can plug it into their business from a macro standpoint. So I'd give us a good grade on this one. B plus.
Certainly, Wall Street and the venture capital world is all in on AI. So they're spending just bajillions, billions of dollars on
very
stuff,
technical.
Hundreds of billions of dollars on it.
Yeah. I like to just say bajillions.
Bajillions?
It's not everybody knows that method of measurement of dollars, but bajillions. Yeah.
All right. Biggest surprise.
Well, James, go ahead and take your victory lap here. Because
actually, I don't want to take a victory lap on this.
Well,
I
you
guess
were right.
It could be a thing.
Yeah, look, you got to be if you know where the puck is going, you can position yourself in the right place, right? So
we both were in the camp of, we've been saying for a long time that this whole settlement, or that everything would happen in a settlement with NAR, and so we did this pod in January. Needless to say, March it did.
Yeah.
So we were correct on that.
What's wild though, just to spend just a moment there, is how many people thought we were wrong and crazy for that prediction. And really, I take zero credit for that prediction. That was 100% you, James. You were finger on the pulse on that one from the beginning. I think one of our first podcasts, 18 months before the settlement or something like that, was on the potential of a settlement. So
there were people saying that I was wearing an aluminum foil hat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So for a few short months later to have it actually happen, that was a good one. So take your lap.
No lap needed. Not a win. I mean, I guess it's a win overall for what it's worth. Instead of being sued into oblivion, if anybody wants to debate that, it's Keith at nexthome.com.
Yeah, hit me up.
Hit us up. We'll definitely.
And then
debate it
probably the most important prediction we made was how many F-bombs James Dwiggins would use, and how many F-bombs I would use. And I'm proud of you. You came in under. You hit the under on James Dwiggins F-bombs by more than one, like by several.
I have a 3.5-year-old, and so this is she said
the parrot phase has fully begun.
She said it in front of mom in the car, and I got the stare of death from my wife. Like,
no, you didn't get it. You earned it.
Those two things are different. And I had to explain to her. I was saying truck, and so like I was doing that parenting thing that we all do. So
you mean lying to your kids?
Yeah. Needless to say, I'm trying to cut down on that. Even though it's like my signature thing, I'm just not going to do it as much because I got a little one listening to everything I'm saying. All right.
And I came in at 1, which was your forecast on my F-bombs was 1, and I must have gotten riled up on a pod and dropped an F-bomb. So
yep, you
there
did.
You go. You nailed that one too, and I missed.
If I got anything right, and that's the one I'm most proud of. So
take your lap on that one then. Yeah.
There's that. All right.
So there's how we did overall. I'm proud of it. I think we thought about it and got more right than we got wrong. And now we'll do predictions for this year. Yeah.
I mean, why not? Let's start off the year with a bang.
Let's go.
You want to start us off? You want me to go? What do you
Ask me the
do?
question. Ask me the question. What are
predictions 2025? What do you got?
Macroeconomic?
Yeah, let's go there first.
Okay. Well, for sure, whenever anyone asks me what's going to happen with residential real estate, my answer, unfortunately, is even more firmly planted in where it was last year, where my first question is, if you can tell me what rates are going to do, I can tell you what I think the real estate market's going to do. So I think we're in a higher for longer phase. I think there's just so many variables right now with what's happened. We've got an incoming president.
Administration changes.
New administration change. Yeah. We have the Fed sort of hinting at things and then backtracking and then hinting back at them again. This is as murky as I've ever felt with getting a real understanding. So I'm going to be pretty conservative in this and say that we will see some downward pressure on rates, but over the next 12 months. But it's not going to be this sort of steady march down. It's not going to be this situation where they start to go down and then they don't stop going down and we get this elegant, beautiful, steady march down. I think they're going to go down, then they're going to go up, then they're going to go down again. Anybody in the mortgage industry who's listening in this next 12 months, you better be locked in, dialed and tight. And when you see the window, you're not floating locks. You grip it and rip it. You get in touch with your clients. You lock them in. And this is going to be a market where you have to be quick and decisive and efficient, because there's going to be pockets for buyers and for loan officers for refinance. There's going to be pockets where the rates will be in your favor. Well, that's throttle down, hammer the gas, pick your analogy. When we hit those windows, go make hay. That is time to execute. And then we may drift out of that for a while and then we'll come back. So I think by the end of 2025, rates will be lower than they are today when we are recording this. But it's not going to be this beautiful, elegant glide into lower rates. So we have to be reactive, responsive, and prepared.
This wouldn't be fun if I didn't pin you down. Where do you think will be as an interest rate? You got to put a number. You can't just be like this.
I really don't. I really don't.
You don't want to do it?
I mean, look, I'll give you a range. How about? I think we'll end we'll end the year. Well, okay. So I'll answer 2 ways. Look, I think it's possible we hit 6.5 again at some point in 2025. But will it be the middle or the end? I don't know, right? I think we'll end with rates sub 7%. And I think at some point in that cycle, we will hit 6.5. If we get some recessionary pressure, if the labor market actually breaks, we could go sub 6.5. I've even seen some people forecasting sub 6. Look, if we hit sub 6%, this market will rip.
Yeah,
it's going to be crazy. So I know that's a really wide range, but if to put a number on it or a range on it, I'd say we end the year sub 7 and we have moments in the year where we're 6.5 or even sub 6.5.
All right. Units.
You go first on units.
I'm going to go 4.2.
4.2.
Yeah, we're going to be roughly just over 4 million units this year or last year in 2024, I should say. I think we'll do 4.2. I'm going to stay conservative with it. I'm being cautiously optimistic about this year. I think there's just a lot of stuff to figure out. And whenever there's a change in administration, everyone's like, okay. And it's like, well, no, there's a lot of stuff to work out. Like we don't, as Keith has reminded me several times, policy is not tweets. So,
correct.
We have to wait and see what policy is. We've got to change in Congress. We've obviously got to change administration. There's a lot of what they call the hangover effect of, removing people in positions and replacing them, which takes time. So I feel like this is going to be the year of transition. So I'm going to stick with 4.2. And then as far as the interest rate comment, I'm actually in agreement with Keith. I think that my hope would be we're at the low 6s at the end of the year. But I do think it's going to be a little wavy. So
yeah, again, I'll give a range here. and the low end of my range would be your prediction, 4.2. I think we have a realist. If we get a little bit of luck on our side, and dang it, we deserve a little luck on our side in this industry. I think we could legitimately hit 4.4. We need rates to get sort of we need rates to be around 6.5 for 3 to 4 months, for a 3 to 4 month stretch. If rates can get sub 7 and float around 6.5 for 3 to 4 months, and not not October, November, December, right? 3 to 4 months where either in the fall or the spring or the summer, we get rates in those ranges for most of the summer. I think you'll see a pretty good pickup there. I do believe in pent up demand. I do believe in locked up sellers. I think those things are real. If rates stay higher for longer, I think the low end of my range would be 4.2, and the high end of my range, if we get a little luck, would be 4.4. If we really see this sub 6% that I've heard a few people talking about, but not most, well, then we're going to be wrong, and we will be so glad we're wrong, because it's going to be a big number, blowout number.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope we're a little lucky.
So wrong. I want to be able to celebrate how wrong we were.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have a bunch of predictions, but let's go with. I guess let's just start with biggest winners and losers potentially this year. I don't want to say losers, but we're
okay.
Who's going to win? Who's going to have problems?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. We don't want to call anybody a loser. We're a friendly neighborhood podcast here. You want to go winners or going to have a hard year?
You choose. Go whichever way you want.
Okay. I'll go winners, and I'll say residential real estate companies with a large war chest. I think a large percentage of the industry has been hanging on by their fingernails, hoping that 2025 gets a lot better and gets a lot better fast. We may get that, but we may not. And if we don't, real estate operations with a large war chest will have an opportunity to pick up M&A in a way. This is the last window to do it, in my opinion, is the next 6 months. And I think if you're a real estate company with a big war chest, you can make some moves right now. And those folks have an opportunity to be a big winner in 2025.
Okay. It's a good one. It's a good one. All right. Go to the other side.
Who's going to have the hardest time in 2025? The first-time home buyer. The affordability headwinds are out of control. It is. I know I bang this drum all the time on the pod. People are probably sick of hearing about it, but I don't care. It's my pod. So turn me off if you want to. I lose sleep over this. If we miss out on a whole, 3, 4, 5 year period, a generation of first-time home buyers, household formation starting later, it's just everything is tilted in the wrong direction when it comes to first-time home buyers. We have to fix that as an industry, because it's the largest wealth creation event that most people will have. And it is the future fuel for our industry. In order to have a trade up buyer, you have to have a first-time home buyer. Without a first-time home buyer, you don't get that trade up buyer. And that we need it. We need it badly. Right now, I don't see solutions in the future other than maybe interest rates starting to come down. And that is who I think is going to face the hardest time in 2025. And I'm committed to banging that drum all I can, exploring, talking to people, trying to find creative solutions where we can work on the affordability problem.
Okay.
What about you? Biggest winners and people who will need some help in 2025?
Man, I'm trying to be really positive about this, but just having been in the inner workings of all of this stuff for a while, it's just, I think it's going to be another tough year for residential real estate. I think agents and brokers are, they're already holding on. They're doing everything they can. There's only so many deals. There's too many agents. We all know that. I think, unfortunately, this year is still another win for lawyers and insurance companies that are just gouging the shit out of everybody.
I mean, you're not wrong, but boo.
I know. I'm trying to find where there's some wins in that. I do agree with you that big brokers or brokers with war chest of capital will win big. They'll position themselves really well. And depending upon how the industry and the choices the industry makes is going to determine the outcome of all of this. So I think there's a lot of, I just want to list a few things that I think are things to think about. And then I'll answer that question. There's going to be a lot of headlines around the three-way agreement. That's going to be tough for associations. They're trying to find their value proposition. The question of whether, you need a local, state, and national association is going to be front and center. To be clear, I'm not questioning that. I'm just That's going to be a hot topic. MLS and association separation, if they're not owned by the association, is going to be a hot topic. So you're going to see some things there that are going to be really difficult decisions for people to make. Certainly, everyone knows my opinion on CCP. That goes into I'll add to the loser column, is buyers and sellers. If CCP goes away, buyers and sellers just got screwed. And then so did basically every small independent company. It would be mass consolidation of independents into 20 top companies in the US. And that would be a massive loss for the American consumer that we've worked so hard with. I will say, back to the win, so I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Yeah, good.
I think agents that are really good at articulating their value are going to do exceptionally well, and they're going to charge more money, which, by the way, is exactly what they're doing.
That's such a good point. I mean, the agents who last year went through the pain to really, really reinvent their business, dude, they are going to...
They already are.
They're gobbling up market share.
Remember when I said a year ago, and everybody thought I was like completely lost my mind again? I said really good agents are going to charge more and make more money.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is going to charge less because they don't have a value proposition. Everyone's like, how are you? You're not going to make more money. Yeah, they are. Because when you decouple compensation, you're only talking about one side of it.
That's right.
If you just think logistically here as a way to do all that. And by the way, that is exactly what's happening. So, I think that really good agents are going to capture market share, and we're going to charge whatever rates they want, and consumers will pay it because they're worth it. And so that's a win. On the reverse side of it, I think brokerage profitability is going to be a problem. We all know that top agents get a better split than everybody else. Brokers make most of their money on the bottom 80%. And so if the bottom 80% isn't charging what they were, or they're not able to articulate value, broker profit margin is going to struggle. And I think you're going to see that come to focus, which leads into the comment you made about M&A. It's a big opportunity for the companies that have that. So, and that's kind of the thing. And I'll say that I think this is the year we figure out who the real disruptor in residential real estate is. I'm going to go a different route than anybody's going to think I was just about to say. I'm not referring to Zillow or Homes.com or Realtor or those. I was actually referring to like Rocket Mortgage or Rocket Homes or mortgage coming into residential real estate. This using residential real estate sale as the loss leader for other lines of revenue. And I think that's a conversation we haven't been having enough of, and where that becomes a potential disruptor. We're going to see that play out or not in 2025. So
you think it's going to play out or not in 2025?
I'm skeptical still. I've been skeptical for a year. I feel like the American consumer wants to go to their specialist for, their loan, and they want to go to the specialist that sells real estate. This isn't a new concept of one-stop shopping, and it just never to gain traction in the US. That being said, the cost of housing is skyrocketing so much. People are making less money. They'll start to look at these services more intently than if they were flush with capital. And so I do think you'll see more disruptors along that line. I do think you'll see more AI put into systems that will try to flat fee rate companies. Again, not a new business model, but I do think you'll start to see these grab more market share across the industry, and the industry will have to level up if it wants to remain relevant long term. So.
I think they're going to try. It so many times, not to dig too, this is a fun one to dig in on, and then we can move on. But look, you and I both sat in VC meetings and private equity meetings where people are pitching their next big idea for residential real estate. And this is true. I have never, I try not to use words like always and never because I get myself in trouble, but I have never sat in one of those meetings where they really understood the level of intimacy in the relationship between the real estate agent and their client.
I just raised a bunch of capital for Raise and went through this over the past year. They don't understand what we do at all.
No, right. So I get it when you're sitting in your, in your conference room with the Excel spreadsheet and, it all makes sense. But so many people don't fully internalize that fact, and that we still seek counsel from other human beings. So it'd be an interesting one to see how it plays out. What do we got left? We got real estate tech. What do you think is going to be the biggest tech?
It's a good one. So again, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but I think a lot of tech companies have been holding on. over the past 2 years.
Oh, spicy hot take. Go ahead.
I do. Yeah. I think you'll see a lot of consolidation that's going to finally play out. If the market doesn't get better than what you and I are predicting, or even get to what you and I are predicting, I think you're going to see a lot of prop tech companies fold up under. And it started last year, but I think you're seeing a lot of that happen. Yeah. That being said, I do believe that companies are going to start to relook at how they operate their business and incorporate more AI into it. Yep. Customer support, just figuring out ways, again, I'm just being honest, to remove staff, to reduce costs, and find ways to implement more automated systems to shore up their bottom line. I think that's going to start to play out pretty heavily this year.
I'll push back on the remove staff piece just a little bit, because I think most companies that are still around have already done a round or two of cuts, right? Like they've reduced staff. Who you have left, you don't want to lose. You kept your talent, right? But what you can do with AI is if you can get some of the minutia off of your talent so that your talent can then do other more dollar productive things. Maybe they're helping you grow, or, helping reduce expenses in other places. There's a talent gap. We all struggle with it. And so while I think most of us have already, the people that are still on the team are great, and you aren't trying to figure out how to let AI get those people off the team. You're trying to figure out how that team can be more efficient and more effective with AI as a co-pilot. But my tech would be, and I tried very hard to come up with something different, because we both said AI last year, but for me it's AI period, like underline.
Well, I know you're into this like deeply right now.
Well, I've seen so many use cases. I've built a couple silly AI tools personally just to explore it, and went from a skeptic to a true believer over the last year. And we are just beginning and starting to scratch the surface of experientially feeling and knowing what AI can do and how it can make our lives better as real estate professionals, as mortgage originators, wherever you are in the
ecosystem. Sure.
In the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll go from we know it's coming to people will be plugging it in and will be experiencing it even if we don't notice. So AI for me again for 2 years in a row. Not sexy, but my thought.
All right, legal side.
Whatever James says, I agree.
I think two big things will happen this year. Unfortunately, number one is, I've had this question a lot, is the DOJ going to finally sue NAR? I'm 50-50. They haven't been very clear on what they want, and I don't know, like anybody else, what the administration is going to do with the DOJ. So if it was under the previous administration, I would with 100% certainty say yes.
Yeah.
I'm now 50-50 on that, and we'll see where that plays out, but it's certainly out there. The two big things I'm most concerned of, and I'll
push back on that one a little. My number's lower than yours. I think it's less than 50. I'm not saying it's zero. But I think it's very low with the incoming administration.
Yeah, I just only say that because the current some people at the DOJ are actually people that Vance likes, and so I'm why my percentage is slightly higher. Sure. I'm throwing that into the mix. But
I just think the tone and tenor from the DOJ is going to be very different. And
agreed.
I don't think they're going to be as focused on residential real estate in NAR. I think they're going to be focused on other stuff.
The two big ones though that I'm feeling pretty confident about. So the first is, I think that people who aren't following the settlement are going to get sued.
Yes.
And I think you'll see them try to find some poster children to do that with, to make an example.
You think that'll be like local, state level stuff, or do you think it's another class action?
I don't think it's a class action. I think it's more specialized in specific individuals and use cases. For not following the settlement terms. Remember, if they don't follow the settlement terms, they're not covered in the release, and they're then susceptible to the full $1.78 billion.
Exposure.
Plus trouble. Yep. So I think some brokers who are not properly managing their people are going to find themselves in bankruptcy because of it. So that's the first. The big one that no one's talking about and really should be is TCPA. And I think that we are not having nearly enough conversations.
Just in case a listener doesn't know, what's TCPA?
So the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, which has been enacted for a long time, there's new guidelines on what they call one-to-one consent that's being enacted on January 25th, I believe. And that basically means that if somebody inquires on your website, I'm simplifying here, you can't take that lead and then go have 4 different companies call that lead.
Yep.
If they want to be talked to by the appraiser and the home inspector and the mortgage company and whatever, they have to consent to each one of those. And I think the industry is so unprepared, and these antitrust lawyers who are looking for the next big paycheck are going to sue the oblivion out of our industry because of it. I hope I am wrong, but my gut says they're waiting for this to happen, and then they're going to start going down the list because, unfortunately, the lack of education happens more often than not.
Yeah.
So,
and we're slow to adopt change. I agree with you. I think what happened in 2025, it definitely could. I think there are maybe other bigger fish to fry that they might go after first.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I agree with you. It's a real risk. What do we got left? Biggest surprise? Is that what we got left?
Yeah, for 2025, biggest surprise, I think NAR comes out of it.
Yeah.
I think NAR comes out the other side. They've got some great moves going on. Nakia Wright's doing, in my opinion, a great job. She's surrounding herself with top talent. The latest announcement about Sherry Chris coming on as a
smart
consultant with Nakia is very smart. It shows you that she knows what she's doing. And so, building a really solid team around you to guide you in this process. I mean, look, NAR has got some bridges to rebuild to the $2 billion club. Bringing in Sherry Chris couldn't be a better decision on that to help rebuild those bridges. She's respected. She's a visionary. So I feel like NAR, pending some scandal that we're not, aware of, and I'm hoping there aren't any, obviously, but I think NAR starts to rebuild and starts to get that credibility back. And by the end of this year, it's better. Now, there's going to be a lot of controversy along the way. Three-way agreement, that's going to be a big thing. People will take lines on that. But I believe that they're making the right moves to get some of that credibility back. So.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I had two for my biggest surprise, and I sort of took this as like, I don't think this will happen, but it could, and that would be surprising, right? So that was sort of my thought process as I thought about this question. I had two answers. One dovetails with what you said. I think the attrition at NAR, I think it's very possible that the attrition will not be nearly as draconian as people have forecasted.
Including me.
Yeah.
To be clear. I hope I'm wrong.
So I think we've seen less than we thought, and I think that I guess it'd be a surprise, but I think it's possible that trend line continues going into and through 2025.
I think there'll still be some attrition through Q1.
Yeah, I'm not saying it'll be
up. It's bad.
Yeah, but we've seen lots of crazy forecasts on how many agents are going
like the one that was the one analyst, I forget the company, it was like 50% or something. I was like, wow, some really good drugs you're having. So,
so that's one possible surprise. The other one, and I really believe this, I know I started this with tell me where rates go, and I can tell you how residential real estate's going to do. So it would be a surprise, but I think it is possible, which is how I thought about this question, that we could actually have a lot better year than you and I both forecasted for units and for residential real estate. I would be surprised, but it is very possible. Look, the world is, I don't know if y'all have been looking at the headlines, but the world's a little crazy right now. Mm-hmm. And while recession fears might be away, have gone away or not be here, I think you could see the labor market break. I think you could see, without a recession, a stock market that recalibrates by 10% the wrong direction. And those kinds of things start happening, you will see downward pressure on rates, and all of a sudden the Fed's going to start, cutting rates like it's a scrapbook party, and downward pressure on rates unlocks a lot of things for residential real estate. So I'd be surprised, but I think we could have a much better year than we think for residential real estate. So those are my two surprises.
I like it. You know what else? If you ever want to feel great about life again, at least for kids, go to Disneyland. I just did that. I felt really stressed out about halfway through, but man, they talk about curating an experience. That's like a whole business course, is like how to curate an experience for your client. I don't think anybody does it better than they do.
They really are amazing at it.
I wanted to end on a happy note, so I just thought Disneyland was
If you would have given me a forecast of James ending with a happy note and it being Disneyland, I wouldn't have taken that bet. So there we go.
Well, but part of the reason why Disneyland was great, just to add context, last time I was there, they don't. You had to go to the Star Wars bar to get a drink, and so now you can get a beer at any restaurant. I was like, oh my god, they started thinking about the parents. So.
All right.
Anyways, so there's that. All right. Well, we got our predictions out. We graded ourselves. We did, I think, probably a C overall would be a good grade. And
I don't know. I'd go B minus. I'd go B minus.
All right.
Like we got more right than we got wrong. The one we got wrong, we got real damn wrong.
We got enough to get our real estate license, like at least 72. So
look at that.
And our predictions for 2025. So we'll have to see at the end of this year how bad we were.
Yeah, just quick reminder. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with a friend. And if put it in the comments, whether it's, if you're watching on YouTube, let us know what you think is going to happen, or if you think we got our heads firmly up our butts on our predictions, because, it's always fun to fight on social media.
What? So. Social media? That's weird.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll stay tuned. We'll see you on the next pod.
Happy 2025, y'all.
We need you to subscribe to this podcast because you need us to keep saying the things that nobody else will say out loud.